Imagine working in your backyard or simply relaxing in your garden when you witness a meat rain. Yes, you heard it right. A real meat shower. Maybe. But what if it all falls over your place and the chunks are real sticky? It would surely be disgusting even for the meat lovers. This is not a story which you read in your storybooks. Keep watching to know about this real life incident. More than 140 years ago, on a cool March morning, large hunks of flesh fell from the sky over Olympia Springs in Bath Country, Kentucky. According to an article published in New York Times, the phenomenon occurred right nearby the house of one Alan Crouch. On 3rd March 1876, one Mrs. Crouch, a local farmer's wife, was making soap in her yard, not more than 40 steps from the house, and suddenly meat which looked like beef began to fall all around her. There was a light wind coming from the west, but the sky was clear and the sun was shining brightly. Without any prelude or warning of any kind, and exactly under these circumstances, the shower commenced, said Mrs. Crouch to the reporters. When it appeared, the meat was raw and fresh. The lumps were large but light as snowflakes, ranging in a size from about 2 inches square to 4, settling all around the 100 by 50 yard area. Pieces of flesh covered the farmhouse ground, and even the chunks were found sticking to the fence. It was also described that it was enough to fill a horse wagon full. For several minutes, Mrs. Crouch and her husband Alan watched this unusual downpour that fell around them before it stopped. A similar event was later reported in Europe. The phenomenon was reported by Scientific American, the New York Times, and several other publications at that time. The Crouches family believed that it was either a miracle or a warning sign from God. Not before it was long, the news of the meat shower spread, which in turn brought multitude of curious neighbors to the scene. The meat appeared to be beef as it was a similar color and had a similar smell. When people hesitated to taste it, except for a local brave hunter who tasted it first and disagreed to their beef idea, claiming that the uncommonly greasy feel of the meat was resembled to that of a bear, whereas other two argued it to be mutton or venison. Unsatisfied with the three conflicting options, a local butcher also took a bite. According to him, the meat was none of those. He claimed that it tasted neither like flesh, fish, or fowl. But according to the first report in Scientific American, two unidentified but brave gentlemen who tasted it judged it to be lamb or deer. On March 9, the story was published in New York Times, and it caught the attention of Leopold Brandeis, who was able to get his hands on a sample that had been preserved in glycerin. After examining it, Brandeis declared that the meat wasn't a supernatural phenomenon, or in fact, according to him, even it wasn't meat at all, but a substance called nostoc, a type of cyanobacteria. Fortunately, Brandeis gave the meat sample to the New York Scientific Association for further analysis, leading to a letter from Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton stating that the meat had been identified as lung tissue from either a horse or a human infant. It couldn't be specified which one among them, as the structure of the organ in these two cases being almost identical. The composition of this sample was backed up by further analysis. 7 samples were examined by several scientists who confirmed 2 to be lung tissue, 3 to be muscular tissue, and 2 were said to be made of cartilage. If it was in fact meat, how did it fall from the sky? And more importantly, how did it get up there in the first place? One of the scientists decided that the meat was likely the result of a meteor shower. A chemist named Robert Peter and a chemist from Louisville College all put forth the theory that the Kentucky meat shower was a result of a flock of vultures vomiting simultaneously after feasting themselves more abundantly than wisely. I am informed that it is not uncommon for buzzards to disgorge their overcharged stomachs, one chemist wrote, and that when in a flock one commences the relief operation, The others are excited to nausea, and a general shower of half-digested meat takes place. Locals also favor the explanation that the meat was vomited up by the buzzards, and they consider it as the best explanation for the Kentucky meat shower. Two species of vultures are found in Kentucky, the black vulture and the turkey vulture, both of which are known to vomit their stomach contents away as either a defense mechanism or to make themselves light enough for flight. So maybe this was the true reason for the shower. But if so, I'm just thinking of the men who tasted it and what would have been their reaction after knowing about it.